A breakup is a breakup.
Yeah, I changed my mind.
Am I the only one that does this?
It's gonna be okay.
Quit being dramatic.
Let's face it, we're human. We all think that way.
They don't deserve your energy.
Wow, look how far I've come.
Yes.
You know-
I mean, is it not a woman's prerogative?
It's okay if you don't get it. You don't have to
If you
get
know,
it.
you know. You don't have to get it. That's okay.
What up, what up?
Hey, hey.
Welcome to episode 1 of Getting Loser. We're doing a podcast. We've actually been working on this project for a really long time, and it started out differently, and then we pivoted recently and renamed, rebranded, and everything, and that set things in motion, and it really just felt good. So
Agreed.
I'm so glad to be here.
Oh, so excited. I've been loving working on this podcast with you. And I feel like the minute we rebranded, everything started to move quickly. Because like you said, we've been working on it a long time. Like, when did we start this project? Like
April last year.
So almost a year that we've been planning and branding, recording, editing, all the things. And it's so interesting to me to think that the minute we found something that felt more connected and more like us with Getting Loser and just with it,
everything started falling together, and it felt good because before it was on the right path, but then it was like, when should we launch? October. How about November? How about December? Okay, January. Yeah. And then we're like, February?
Yeah, it felt easy to push it off, and it never felt like it was really
aligned.
It was never aligned, and so we started with Silver Lining Junkies as our original brand name, which is a big part of who we are as individuals, as sisters, and so that's awesome, but it just doesn't capture our full personalities and all of who we are, because I'm not always, I love just find a silver lining. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Love it. Oh yeah. But I also sometimes can be a bitch, and sometimes I want to talk shit, and sometimes
I'll complain, and
perfect. And that Silver Lining Junkies sort of felt like you had to fit into a more buttoned up, positive role. And I know it's like, we are that way, but also, can I just be human and fuck up and make mistakes? And but it just felt like, I don't know, it just didn't feel fully aligned, like you said.
Yeah, it's like aligned with who we are, but it wasn't everything we wanted to do here.
Yeah,
we did feel like, what is it, pigeonholed? Is that what they say? Where it's like, well, I want to talk about this, and this doesn't really sound silver lining-ish. And okay, well, let's rethink this. And then the idea came, and we both connected on it, and it was like,
immediately
we have something.
Yeah. When you know. And that was that moment when we were going back and forth with different names, and had a really great list on the second round that we did. I thought I really liked everything, or a lot of the ones that you had put out.
Yeah.
And then
there were a lot of fun ones.
You brought in Getting Loser, and it just was like, yes.
Yeah, we can connect with this. We can work with this. And I'm not sure if you don't know what Getting Loser is. If you don't, then get out, loser.
Get out, loser.
It's from one of our favorite pastime movies, Mean Girls, where Regina George, one of the main characters, yells out to Katie, "Getting loser, we're going shopping." But loser in a loving way.
Right. Getting loser.
Yeah.
We're fucking talking about this. Yeah. Getting loser. I mean, who doesn't know that reference, honestly?
I don't know.
I feel like Mean Girls is still a really popular movie, even with younger generations. I feel like that movie is huge. They've even done a second one, which is
well, the musical just came out, so it's like they better know it now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really popular phrase, and obviously a popular. Well, there were other podcasts that use the Getting Loser piece.
That's fine. Don't look those up. Don't listen to those.
They're not. Don't listen. Yeah. So, but that's okay. This one's unique to us, and we're moving forward because it feels good, and That's what we're doing.
Yeah. And it definitely has a different vibe to it than the other ones that have the get and loser reference to it. This one's a little more general. We're going to be sharing some personal tidbits from our lives, things that I wouldn't normally say or share with anybody. I'm deciding to finally just tell the world in an open platform, just here are my flaws.
Yes.
I am human.
Yes. You are getting to listen to a conversation between sisters and best friends. We are sister besties, and we talk about all the things, and it's basically like you're jumping on a FaceTime with us.
Yeah. I mean, we've known each other her whole life because she's my younger sister. If you were guessing, we're just going to get it out. I'm the older sister. I'm the wiser sister. I'm the nicer sister. No, but obviously that's very typical sibling banter. She brings so much to the table. I aspire to be just like you in so many ways. You actually give me strength. I will say I feel like we're both sensitive in ways, but I feel like I'm a lot softer, and I'm not saying that in like a good way. I feel like you have strength that you remind me of all the time.
So you it's like hard outer shell. I'm a lot softer, and you're really good.
No, I feel like you're more in tune with your masculine side. I think we talk about this, but I look up to you, even though you're my younger sister. I look up to you in so many ways, and you inspire me in so many ways. Our age difference is only 1 year and 1 week to the day. Exactly. We grew up saying that because both of our birthdays are in September, and they are both always on the same day because it's a week apart, but a year and a week. So
yeah. Well, basically, we grew up like twins.
Yeah.
That was very much, we did everything together. We were best friends. We were in a lot of the same classes. Well, at least when we were younger, we were in some similar classes.
That was so fun. Yeah.
So much fun. Yeah. And we did all of the sports together. We did choir together. We did AC. Like we did a lot
intertwined.
Together.
We were very intertwined
and had similar friend groups and a lot of similar interests. So we
shared a best friend.
Mutual best friends. It was fucking awesome to have growing up. Like seriously, it was the coolest. And when I hear people talk about how they're not close with their siblings, it just hurts my heart so much because we're so close, and we're close with our family just as a whole. And yeah, I feel really lucky and blessed whenever I hear stories like that, because I'm like, I love my family. I'm so close with them, and my sister's my best friend. She's my soulmate, and I couldn't imagine it any other way.
Right. Yeah. But don't get it wrong, because what's funny, I was talking with Dad the other night, and I told him Allison and I fight all the time. Well, not all the time, but I was like, more like every single day.
All the time. Fighting all the time.
I actually didn't say all the time. I don't know why I say that. It's like one of those phrases you just use, but it's like, Allison and I fight. And he was like, you do? And I was like, yeah. Yeah. And a lot of times especially growing up.
At dinner. Literally, this was what? 6 months? You were in September when you were.
Yeah. Right.
We fought at the dinner table and made it uncomfortable for everyone else.
Yeah. Get up and leave. We're having an argument. Yes. We're best friends and we're so close, but we don't always agree on everything. And sometimes being that close and knowing somebody so well, you're comfortable to slip into other behaviors, or like if there's a trigger and it ignites something that's like deep inside you that comes up, usually the person you're most close with is going to be the bearer of that bad energy, because that's a safe space. I have a safe space with you to be a little cray.
Right. And we don't always, like everybody, you don't always understand each other when you're trying to say something, or something is said and it, rubs you the wrong way.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. And I feel, and most of the time, because anger or getting upset like that is a secondary emotion. And once you can like wrap your mind around that and be like, okay, I'm going to give this person space because they're mad at something, but what is it really? Usually it's embarrassment, it's sadness, it's shame, it's stuff like that is triggering the anger response. So it was like,
Right.
I'm sorry what I said when I was hungry. Like,
No,
or I'm sorry what I said when I was
love that.
triggered.
I
didn't
love
mean
that.
it.
There's so much truth to it.
Yeah.
I wasn't myself. I just
Yeah. And
yeah.
that happens to everybody, including people that are like outwardly presenting that we get along all the time and everything's fun and fancy free. It's like, no, we still have our moments.
Yeah.
And that's
start posting
okay.
about that too. Next time we
Yeah.
get play, we'll record it.
You're like, this
Share
stuff,
this moment with us.
this bitch. But it's like
Stupid
we shake
shit,
it off.
too.
We don't
Stupid
hold
shit.
on to it. We move on. And
Yeah.
it's like,
Not
not
quickly.
hold. Right. You don't want to give those moments power, because if you do, they're going to take over your life. And like, what, are we not going to talk? What, are we going to be mad at each other? I still have to vent to you about all the other people in my life that are annoying.
Yeah, we need to get over this now because we got other stuff to talk about and
Yeah.
just do. But
Anybody whose sisters understands, they know that dynamic.
yeah, I love seeing those reels, and we send them to each other where sisters get in a fight and then one opens the bedroom door and it's like, do you want to go get Taco Bell? Yeah. You're like,
Yes.
so
that's good.
accurate. And yeah, and I feel like we just can move through those moments. It happens, and then within minutes, few handful of minutes, we're like, all right, I'm sorry. You know, and we are able to like process and quickly self-reflect and realize like this is stupid.
Yeah. Exactly. Like when we were younger and it used to happen and we'd be like mid fight and be looking at each other and both of us would crack up, and then it was like that was the end of it. Like,
I know.
what was that?
Yeah.
But I'm glad we've always been on that same wavelength.
Yeah.
What did you say?
We've been practicing it for years.
Yeah.
Taking the fight and moving on.
Sometimes you just got to get that energy out, and then it's like, oh, well, I don't feel like fighting anymore because now I'm ready to be silly again. Oh, yeah. Life has been fun with you in it.
I know.
I'm glad.
Yeah. Should we talk about why we started this podcast?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Let's transition. Good job.
Nice smooth transition from starting a podcast.
Yes.
Yeah. For me, I feel like this was the easiest way and something super fun. Well, this like hits. Well, should I build up to it more?
Oh, yeah. Let's build up. Build up. Start from the very beginning. You were born on a dark and stormy night.
How far back?
Yeah. No, do it whenever you felt like you wanted to start. Just
and I felt that
there.
too. I was like, why am I cutting myself off? If I'm feeling saying something, I should just say it. All right. So the reason we started this podcast was, long story short, so that we had something that we could do together on a consistent basis that would keep us close. And I feel like that's probably the biggest reason. Additionally, you and I are both creators. We love creating in so many different ways and on so many different platforms. With singing, songwriting for you, I like to karaoke. I don't songwrite or do any of that, but creating on social media, creating, writing, editing, all of those things. And so this was just another thing. It was honestly just another thing for us to tackle and check off our creators list.
Yes.
And, yeah. But the biggest pull for me was something that we could do together to just keep our relationship close.
Yeah. Because we live across the country from each other. I moved out of the Pacific Northwest where Allison still is. I moved to Ohio. Goodbye, guys. We've constantly throughout the years been like, we need to do this, we need to do that. And we've started little things here and there, or we've talked about ideas and stuff, and nothing really fully stuck. And then talking about the podcast, it felt at first like it was going to be another one of those things like, oh, we should start a podcast. It's like, yeah, totally. And then it was like, no, really, let's schedule it. Let's figure it out and start doing it. And I think we both hit a place in our lives where what I call no more not doing it, because it's like all these things that you talk about that you want to do. and you're always pushing it off because there's always a reason not to do something or an excuse, or like you're scared. And then more talking about this week, we're like, no, seriously, we're scheduling a call and we're going to figure it out step by step, because we didn't know anything about podcasting. We didn't know how to record it, how to publish it, what to do here and there. And for me, I don't even listen to podcasts. But so it was a completely foreign entity, but I liked the idea of just talking with you all the time. So I was like, yeah, I don't listen to them, but I'm going to start. I'm going to listen to ours.
Yeah. I think it's been a couple years, maybe, or even a few years by now, that I've been listening to podcasts. So I really like them. I have been really liking rewatch podcasts, but yeah, when we first started, or when we started talking about doing a podcast, and we scheduled that meeting, and it was a recurring meeting, like a weekly meeting, and something that we were treating almost like a business.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, a really important aspect of taking something seriously.
Yeah.
Is treating it like it's a business. Like this, I'm going to show up because I need to be here. This is my job. This is what I do. If it was something that I didn't care about or that I didn't take seriously, it would be like, oh, well, and we've been flexible with each other because we all know life happens. Other things come up. And so we've been flexible with being able to move it around as needed. But we both, I feel like, have been very committed to the process the entire time. I haven't felt at one time, I have not felt that either you or myself wasn't taking it seriously or was slacking, or that one person was doing more than the other. I think we've both been leaning on our skill sets and what we're strong at, and have been, delegating work to both of us. That's how I feel.
Absolutely. Yeah. We made a commitment to one another and have stuck with it. And it, talking with you once a week was what I've always wanted to do in general. It's like, now let's just record it. And then
exactly, we already want to stay connected. So let's just put a microphone in between us virtually and just chat on here and share with other people, because we're geniuses and we have
yeah, I mean, thank goodness for technology. What
I said, we're like really, really smart, and we just wanted to share it with you.
Super smart and cute and funny and tall. Well, I am.
I was like, one of us is tall, one of us is small.
It has been a really fun experience. I'm so happy to see this time that it has come to fruition, and we're live. We're doing it.
Launched today.
Our
trailer is live on Spotify. We have a trailer
right now.
Podcast live on Spotify right now. Who are we?
I know.
Who are we?
We're podcasters.
I can't believe
officially.
Podcasters. Literally, officially. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Setting
a goal, working toward that goal, and seeing that goal met. Like, I am the queen of starting something I'm not going to finish, because I get hyper interested, hyper focused on things, and
the exact same way.
Learn things really quick and get to a point of all right, this is good enough. I'm bored, on to the next thing. And I always have good intentions. I always think at that beginning, hyper fixated moment, it feels like it's going to go further. It always feels like, oh no, okay, this is the direction I'm supposed to go. And then it's like, I've lost interest in it. And this is something I haven't lost interest. If anything, I have gotten more and more interested as it goes on. I've enjoyed it a lot more. And now that we're here, it's just like, oh my gosh, is this the thing?
I know
that I don't stop.
Yeah. When I was talking to Mom about it this weekend, she was like, I think this is it. I think this is it for you guys, because it's hard not to see and not to feel our closeness and our connection when you're around us. And I think obviously she's our mom, so she sees us together and then talks to us individually, and we talk about each other, and it's hard to deny it. You can feel it. It's very palpable, and something was going to click, and this feels like it's going to be it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only so many things we can do being far away from each other, because if we were close, I know we would have a skit channel going. We'd be
Oh, we'd
we've
be
been
on TikTok,
creating. Yeah.
all
Oh,
over TikTok. Like, I think
well,
about
not
that a lot
anymore.
because yeah, I
The
have
band.
TikTok on my own, and I go through phases of being on it and off it. It's never been something that's been super consistent for me. Instagram, I'm more consistent with, but in the recent months have been much quieter. And I think about this all the time that if we lived closer together and could see each other more often, I just know our creative juices would be flowing, and we're so funny and silly and stupid together that we would see these little trends and we'd be able to do a quick recording, boom, post it, done. And it just felt like those things would be so much easier and quicker because we both pull that creative, funny part out in each other. And
Yeah, we do.
I'm boring without you.
Oh no, no, no! Don't say that.
I know that's
No, you're not. But I know what you mean when you say that because it's like, yeah, I can create on my own, but there's this thing where sharing, like that one movie Into the Wild, the sad. Spoiler alert! If you haven't seen it and you want to, don't listen to this. But where in his journal at the end, he was writing in a panic before it goes away, and its happiness is only real when shared. And I think that has a lot of weight to it. It's like, yes, you can be happy, you can be content on your own, but like happiness, that feeling, that something that comes from connection. Like if you're happy and nobody is around to see it, does it exist? You're a tree.
yeah.
But yeah,
We're meant to connect with other humans. We weren't put on this earth to live it completely alone. Obviously, having alone time, loving yourself, of course.
yes,
Like,
please. I
yes,
love alone time.
yes.
I like being
But
at home.
who does it?
Yeah.
In the busy lives you all lead, alone time is so precious and is very much needed. And loving yourself and being okay being by yourself, of course. Like, we're not talking about jumping from relationship to relationship. Like, take that time to be by yourself, but having no human connection and no one to share life's, little treasures with, it's not as special. I mean, I don't know because I'm lucky because I have you and
Right.
Troy and, my family and everybody. So that's what I know, but I always feel so blessed.
Yeah, me too.
It's also nice to be around another creator. I crave that all the time. Being around other entrepreneurs, other people that have, like-minded people that are working towards similar goals that like to create like that. I don't have anyone else. I don't have anyone else like that. You're my
Same.
person that's like that, and inspire each other and fuel each other in those areas. And so when we're together, I just feel like electricity.
Yeah, I need more of it type of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you understand what I'm going through building businesses and, all of those things that people who aren't entrepreneur minded just don't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the creator thing too, it's so obvious when we're together and we're doing stuff like that,
Yeah.
the other people around us that aren't interested in it, which is fine. You don't have to be interested in it. That's not what we're saying. Like it's not one is better than the other, or is it? No, but it's more like I'm always so thankful when you're there because if I were trying to do this stuff, I feel like I wouldn't do it as much around those people, like our family, that nobody else does it, and they look at us like, oh, there they go doing those crazy things again. But it's like we enjoy it, and it's something that is fun. It's a way that we can create on a really quick pace. It's something that we can let loose in and have fun with each other. And if you don't get it, you don't get it. And that's fine.
And that's fine.
But it's hard to be a creator and want to do stuff like that with the majority of the people around us that aren't into it and they don't understand. Then it just kind of like, oh, okay.
You do it less and less, which is what I feel like is happening to me over the past few months. And, maybe there are other factors that are coming into play, being busy and transitioning in different areas of my life, professionally, personally. But it definitely, it's harder when you're not around people like that because you just, do it less and less. And then it feels like writer's block or creator's block.
Yeah.
Like, just I don't feel creative at times. So I try to push through it and just toss something out there, even if it feels like not my best work or.
Yeah.
But
Because who cares?
it doesn't matter. Yeah, exactly. Because no one cares. And I say that with the best intentions and the best energy behind that, because that's something that you and I have spoken.
It's a theme.
It's words of encouragement, honestly.
Yeah.
No one cares. No one's paying attention to you as much as you're paying attention to you. And we have needed that for ourselves and for each other during our creative process.
Yeah. Like post for yourself.
Post it. Stop
Post.
overthinking it. Post.
Yeah.
That's
Post
what
it.
no one cares means.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's not like nobody cares, you're an idiot, you fool. It's not like that. It's as much as you're thinking about other people is how much or less they're thinking about you. So you're free to like literally do whatever you want, as long as you're not hurting somebody.
I said that to somebody. I said that, and they were like, "Well, I hope somebody cares." And I was just like, "It's not. It's not.
You do.
Of course, you're putting effort into your messaging, into what you want to say to people, and of course, that's not what it means. It just means stop being so hard on yourself. Basically,
Right.
Stop being so hard on yourself.
Don't overthink it.
Yeah.
You're overthinking it. You're actually thinking what other people are thinking, and you don't even know what they're thinking. And even further than that, what they're thinking doesn't even matter.
Right.
Like, think about people don't like me. There are people out in the world that they don't like me. And I know.
People.
Oh, I'll text you their names.
Yeah.
No, but think about it. There are people in this world that do not like me. And they probably have a lot of unsavory things that they've thought about me before, if they're thinking about me at all, which they're probably not. But in the times where our lives were crossing paths, they did have thoughts about me, and my life went on. Their thoughts didn't influence anything unless I gave it power, which, I mean, I didn't know what they were thinking. I could only assume. And it's like, well, if they're going to think what they're going to think, okay.
I'm just gonna keep doing my thing.
Yeah. My life went on, and I kept making my own choices for myself, just happy as can be, because I don't know what's going on in their minds, and I don't care. I feel like I heard somebody there.
No, there's something in the walls. Just like the beginning of a scary movie.
Yeah.
Oh my
Is
God.
there something in the walls?
This is a good idea. Yeah. Do you remember when you stayed here when you stayed the night? And
I do remember.
So after that, I know, so annoying. So after that, the apartments had people come in and do a bunch of roofing stuff that we assumed was to address, I don't know, patching up holes. I don't know what you're doing. What are you doing up there? Just getting the animals out and like plugging the holes of the ways for them to get into the ceilings and the walls and, wherever they were. They didn't do a good job, or they didn't do it at all. I'm unclear, but it's like, it's worse than it was. Now it's not just scratching. It's like little feet. Just, it's great. So that's what you heard. It was my little creatures.
Yes. Oh, that's annoying that you have to deal with that still.
Super annoying. I guess that's what you get for living in the woods, but it wasn't ever an issue. We have lived in these apartments for a long time, and we moved from the other apartment to this one, which is nicer and bigger and all the things, but I don't remember ever having that issue in our other apartment.
Yeah.
It's definitely something here, and the animals love it. Goldie will just like sit and stare, and she's like, and then Charles,
there's something in there I need to catch.
yeah. And he just gets excited and barks, and I'm like, are you gonna dig a hole and through the wall?
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Through your
I don't know what they're doing in there.
Yeah.
So that's something fun that we live and that we've accepted.
Not expected.
Yes.
Yeah.
Another one of my favorite sayings that you taught me. And I always do the hug because I think you did that. And I really like to add
We're
it.
not expecting.
We're accepting.
Yes.
Love it.
It just
So
it
I,
applies in so many ways.
so many.
You will hear us say that saying a lot because it's true. I mean, and it's helpful to remember that there are things that you can't control. So instead of trying to control them or getting upset about them or anything, giving them, that negative power, instead of that, you just accept it as it is and not expect anything. And then you have your peace. And
Yeah.
that is what is important. Your peace is always a numero uno.
Oh, yeah. And I still am working on that. There are still things that I don't even realize that I'm trying to control. It
Oof.
takes sometimes a little bit of self-awareness and even talking to somebody about it. And through talking about it, I either catch it or they give me some perspective, and I start to understand that this isn't something that I can control. And I constantly remember that phrase. I'm
Yeah.
expecting, not expecting.
Yeah.
And also something that I love to remember and like at the same time is people can only meet you where they are mentally and emotionally.
Yeah.
So just because I have done a certain level of healing and inner work and working on my listening and communication doesn't mean everybody has. So I can't expect them to understand and to communicate in the way that I do. So I accept them for being idiots.
Yes. Ugh. Yes. I love that. And
Yeah.
it's so true. It's so true.
Yeah.
I always say that, like, when we've been going through a lot of BS here with our power line stuff, and
Right.
it's stressing Derek out to the max. And I'm
Oh,
all and work has been crazy for him too. And I'm
yeah.
always like, what can you control? Like, focus on what you can control. Everything else you can't control, you have to let happen. You can't, and letting it get you upset is only draining you of your energy, and it's not doing you any favors. And then it's distracting from the things that you can be doing. So let's focus on those. He hates it. He doesn't want to. He
What is
doesn't want to
that?
hear me.
You say that
He's
he
always like,
give you this
I
side
don't
eye.
know. Yeah, a little, or maybe it's the poor timing too, because I'm trying to help in the middle of him feeling really stressed out, and I have good intentions, but timing is everything. And it's like you have good intentions, but it doesn't always hit because I'm not ready to hear that right now. Sometimes
Right.
I just want to be upset, or sometimes
Yeah.
I'm feeling big feelings and I can't wrap my mind around your logic. As sound as it may be, fuck you, respectfully.
Particularly.
Yeah, like he never says that, of course, but I know that
Oh, he's kidding.
the energy is there. Like,
He's like,
he's like, you don't understand. It's like, I mean, I don't have to understand what the logistics are that you're dealing with at work to know that you can't control some of the things at work, and you're letting it stress you out beyond measure, giving yourself headaches, and like where it's like you can't control that, and it's going to happen anyway. So what can you do to make you feel like you are progressing in some direction? He tries to take it, but I can tell it's never accepted.
yeah.
I don't know how to explain it, but you know
He
how it
accepts
is.
it, but he ain't happy about it.
Yeah, right. Exactly. He's like, yeah. I've heard it all before.
I totally get it. Work politics and things at work can be tough because there are so many different personalities and just people are different.
Yeah.
And learning to adjust your communication and, you know, just the way that you work with different personalities and different, types of people can be. I'm going through something, not going through something similar, but it does pop up. And that's again where I'm reminding myself, not everyone they can only meet you where you're at, and also I like to remind myself that I'm not going to die on this hill. Like,
No.
it's something that I'm advocating for, even though I know I'm right and my way is the best way.
Yeah, it is. I don't even know what it
So,
is, but I agree with you.
yeah. So I just kind of pause and, is this an emergency? Is it something that, needs to happen right now? Is it like, what level of importance is this thing? And more often than not, I find myself just letting it go. I'm not
Yeah.
going to die. So I'm not, this isn't the fight that I'm going to hold on
Yeah.
to.
I don't care about it
I'm going to save
that
that.
much.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I want things to be efficient, and I want everyone to feel supported and all those things, but I can't, Rome wasn't built in a day, and I'm not going to build it alone. And if not everyone is on the same page, that's fine. We can move
Yeah.
on. We can just baby steps.
Baby steps. One
Yeah.
thing at a
And
time.
yeah, exactly. And and working with other people, if something that I'm doing isn't aligning with how they like to receive information, or then I'm trying to remind myself to ask questions. So what would be the best way for
Yes.
you to get this information? What would be the best way? What do you think we should do? Like, how would you have handled this situation?
Yeah.
So just
I always say, have you thought of a solution? Or like, what's your idea for a solution for this? Because I hear you just complaining. And this isn't, I'm not talking about Derek here, even with my kids and stuff. They're just like saying this. I'm like, well, like, what's a solution that would feel okay to you? Have you thought about that? And it's like, no, you're supposed to solve my problems. And I'm like,
you're mom. Fix
yeah, I'm
it.
like, I'm trying to teach you how to do it because I won't always be in your life as actively, you're going to
Yeah.
go off and stuff. But it's good for other people too. Think, if you are complaining about something, you have a problem with something, and all you're doing is continuing to complain about the problem, but you haven't thought about how to fix it or what you can do to make it better for yourself, then it's like, well, do you just want to be miserable? Because I get that too. I went through a phase in my 20s. I like to be a brooding, tortured artist. So if that's your vibe, I dig it. You're so edgy.
I love that you ask the kids those questions though too, because even if they hadn't thought about it or have a response, just getting them in the habit of thinking about that, because you're putting that in their mind. So then one day it will click and they will remember that they're upset, and what solution do I have to fix this thing? And
Yeah.
so yeah, it'll eventually click for sure.
We'll see. Time will tell.
Fingers crossed.
I'm always like, let me apologize in advance for the things that I have and or will do to you that will cause you trauma that you need to work through in your adult years. I had that conversation with them today. I was like, I don't know what it is, but I know I'm not perfect. I'm doing my best, but sometimes I make mistakes, and I know that you guys are there to witness it. And some of that is going to stick in certain ways, and I'm sorry about it. And even said later on, if you are working through it and you come across something that you realize came from something that I did, please address it with me. Let's communicate. I don't want to push you off or your feelings aside. I want to remedy it because I do want that close relationship with you. And I want you to know that you have a safe space to share even the uncomfortable things that might be about me and your experience with me in your life. That is part of the mother-child dynamic. We can't escape it. But I don't want, you are safe to communicate to me about it because I want to fix it right now or ASAP.
Love the dialogue that you have with them. It's so special, and just they're lucky that they have you.
Oh,
And that, yeah, to
thank
have
you.
a parent figure create that safe space, because I sure as hell didn't feel like that growing up. Love you, parents, but
Love you, parents.
I feel like I had a safe space.
But you want to know what I feel like? And I, you know, I feel like the way that I parent, I became that way because of how I was brought up. And though our parents were doing their best, they were still really young when they had us. They didn't know what they were doing. They went and got a divorce and then remarried and stuff. And everybody was doing it for the very first time in their lives. And that has given me a lot of peace thinking about that from their perspective, because I'm sure that they have some guilt thoughts or whatever comes from it. But then at the same time, in between that, it doesn't take away from the fact that there were things that happened that did cause trauma, that did root deep in, that I've had to work through in my adult years. And even though it was hard to go through while we were going through it, I'm so thankful for those experiences, because it taught me a lot of what not to do as a parent. And though I also did learn things of what to do as a parent, those hard times really gave me a lot of insight that I'm trying to, that I am implementing into my parenthood right now. And I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if it's going to be even worse. We're going to find out when they're adults. So I know that I'm trying my best, learning from the lessons, good and bad, from my childhood. And I think that is a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing. I love talking to you about parenting, because I think you are the tits. You are the you are such a badass mom. Everything that you do and just is reflected in who they are as kids, when the conversations and their energy and everything that they do and the things that they say. And I know everyone who's an aunt is biased, but my niece and nephew are the fucking best. They have
so
hearts. They have such good hearts, and they are so funny and creative in their own ways. And it's just, and I love watching your dynamic with them when you do your homeschooling, and when they're having a conflict, whether it's together or just on their own, and you working through that conflict with them, and the questions that you ask and the things that you say. It's really fun to watch. And then talking to you about it is so much fun. And I love when you say things like, I'm like, because I've given you compliments before, and I say, I'm like, that was really good how you handled that. And you're like, I don't know, it's going to work. Hopefully. You're like, well,
I'm guessing.
Yeah. I'm guessing. I'm doing this all for the first time. And I think you also said that to Ivalani, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, I did.
Said something similar, where you're like, I'm dealing with this for the very first time in my life. And I think that was probably kind of interesting for her to realize, like, oh, you're human. That takes time. That took time for me to realize that my parents were also doing things for the first time, and they're just humans doing the best that they can with the resources and mental capacity and emotional capacity that they have. But yeah, it's real.
Yeah, it is real.
Yeah. And it's definitely giving me more understanding and just grace for everybody, honestly.
Yeah, right.
Parents, I'm like, you guys, good job. It looks hard.
Yeah, it is. It is, but it's worth it. But, if it's the choice that you make that you want in your life, I fully support it. I grew up always thinking I wasn't going to have kids. Like, even to the point of, like, right before that I got pregnant, I was always like, I'm too selfish to have kids. I don't think I could do it. I don't think I'd be able to handle it. I was, I think, deep rooted scared that I was going to mess it up and not be good enough. I don't, I think our parents' divorce also made me feel a certain way about it. And so I was like, I'm never having kids. I'm never getting married. And then I got married and had kids, not in that order, but I still did both of those things I thought that I was never going to do. And I'm so glad that I did, because I have the perspective from both sides, like life without kids, life with kids. And though life without kids, it's fun, it's free. I loved it. I do still cherish the nights that I get a break. There's just something about having kids that, it changed me. It made me a better person. And I think I needed that. So maybe you're out there, you don't have kids, and you are the person you need to be. You don't need kids. But for me, they made me better in every aspect. So I love that about being a mom.
Yeah.
There are trying times, but worth it.
Yeah. You're such a great
And
mom.
it's temporary too, just like everything else. Like it's this part of my life is only going to last for so long. And then we're going to move on to the next phase and the next phase. And I'm just really enjoying the simple moments and everything as they come along and not wishing it away.
Right. I'm shocked though. I honestly always thought that you had the marriage, family, kids thing somewhere sitting back there in, just as we all kind of grew up thinking that it's college and it's marriage and it's this, the whole trajectory. And that's obviously not how it went for either of us. But maybe you're just such a good mom that I just always assumed that's what you wanted. I always thought I was going to have kids, and here I am with 2 fur babies. But you never know.
Yeah, see, life, you think you have a plan for your life, and then life does its thing, and
nothing that I thought was going to happen happened.
Yeah.
Or like everything that's happened, I wouldn't have guessed. Maybe that's a better way to say it.
And time flies, and yeah, it's been a fun ride. I'm looking forward to what comes next. This podcast, I'm super excited about. I can't wait to talk about some hot topics, some gossip. We have a lot of good stuff coming in future episodes that I'm looking forward to sharing. And we're going to try and be as candid as possible.
Yeah, and that's something that I want to know before we hop off is that we have pre-recorded a bank of episodes so that we can always be ready for you. So there might be some conversations that you hear that we might reference a certain time of the year and it might not align with when it goes live. And we have also rebranded since recording a few of those episodes. So some things are going to change. We feel really good about how everything's going to go moving forward. I did feel a little filtered in some of the previous episodes. So I'm feeling really, really good about where we're at and just being authentically myself and being more candid.
Yeah.
I feel really good about that moving forward, but you might notice that in future episodes, but you know what? Deal with it.
Deal with it. Yeah, it's like it'll get better as it goes on. I just know that we were a little polished in the beginning. We can't help it because of who we are as people.
Virgos, okay?
And it's like perfectionist to a fault. But we are definitely not perfect, and we're here to prove that.
Not even close.
Yeah.
Not even close, but like we try so hard. And it's like, fucking stressful. Like, can we just have a conversation? Can we just be without thinking that things are going to be perfect? So you're not going to see, like, things might not be super polished, but basically you're learning and growing with us as we learn how to be podcasters and just amazing individuals. We love you so much, and catch us on the next episode.
Yeah. Bye.
That's it for today. Don't miss us too much. If you do, find us on Instagram at The Wander Babes. That's at the.wander.babes. Or email us at thegetinloserpodcast@gmail.com. If you're loving this podcast, leave us a review. We'll see you next time. And remember, on Wednesdays, we podcast.